check that they're as they should be. And we have these scullers from Serbia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Bulgaria and Spain.
2 minutes.
So wherever in the world you're watching us from, we hope you're enjoying this presentation from me, Martin Cross and Greg Searle. And we are now looking at Jovana Arsic, the Serbian sculler, 30 years of age, coached by Niki Stojic, as all the Serbian crews are, Tokyo Olympian. And then back from suspension, Iva Adomov-Jukaite, the big, tall Lithuanian. What a day the Lithuanians are having out here on Lake Bled. The hot favourite for this, Caroline Florijn from the Netherlands, world champion. She dominated her semi-final. Her dad is a double Olympic champion. Her mum, Antti Rehag, was an international rower. The Swiss rowing with Mac on blades, Aurelia Maxima Katarina Janssen, took silver medal in Zagreb behind the Spanish sculler, who we'll see later. Desislava Angelova, in the great tradition of Bulgarian single scullers, of course, the great Rumenia Nekova, Olympic champion here with the Bulgarian team. And then out in lane 6, Virginia Diaz-Rivas. What a sprint finish she had in Zagreb 3 weeks ago to get through the Swiss, get through Janssen. And it's going to be fascinating, again, to look at, I guess, how commanding Floren's going to be. But where Janssen is going to finish, will she get her bows in front of Diaz-Rivas? Will Adomov-Jukaite make a mark? What's Angelova got to offer? Women's singles is about to start.
Well, as you say, Martin, fascinating to see what goes on. I think particularly in these two centre lanes, because Florijn from the Netherlands, we all expect her to dominate this. But yeah, this young Swiss sculler Janssen has also come straight through, comfortably through the regatta so far, to be in this centre lane with a good win in her semi-final. She gets away nicely. And of course, the thing we're going to look out for here is her using those blades. You described them as a Mac-on blade. For those who don't watch rowing so much, the blade is completely symmetrical, like a spoon you would eat your dessert with or stir your coffee with, as opposed to all the other blades, which are more like a sort of knife or a chopping blade. She has these fully symmetrical blades, which we'll see in action in a second.
And you could see how high her feet were set up in that swift bow. I gather she's got it under cover, under wraps. She doesn't really want many people looking at it. You know, she's out in the lead. She wasn't in the lead in the semi-final, and she's taken it to Caroline Florijn. That is a real statement of intent, Greg.
It is a statement of intent, and again, for me, you know, I started my rowing career with these kind of blades, and you never really thought that they were that quick at getting off the start. That if anything, when we first started using the non-symmetrical blade that we see everyone using, you always thought, oh, that gets you off the start quicker because it almost locks up more solidly.
Caroline Florijn won't be phased. She's got flexibility in any part of the course, but a little notice to her. She's got a challenger. There you see Florijn and the Swiss sculler Janssen. She actually won the German trial. She's got dual nationality, Janssen, and she's coached by Klaus-Dieter Stecker. She plows her own furrow, the 19-year-old. She doesn't really hang out with the Swiss team, and of course she can't really row with anyone else with those Mac-on blades. Everyone else rows with a different shape of hatchet cleaver. So Janssen, a fast start, unlike the semi-final. It's different tactics from the Swiss, and Caroline Florijn just going toe-to-toe with her as they approach 500 metres.
Yeah, like you say, Florijn, the Netherlands sculler, not phased by what's been thrown at her. It was Arsic across there, the Serbian sculler, in third position through the first 500. But I noticed she also led in her semi-final through 500, so pressure bound to come onto her, and I'm not sure she'll be able to hold on to that position.
Diaz-Rivas, she's got a sprint finish in her. She's a sculler on the left of your picture as we get that reverse shot, I guess, from the drone flying over. Great shots back towards the start there we're getting from our production team. But Diaz-Rivas needs to keep in contact if she's going to unleash that sprint finish. Caroline Florijn hits the front, you saw on the graphic. She has, oh, she's going well out from Janssen there. That was a brave start from Janssen, but Florijn has clear water now. Arsic is now, well, she's now got the sights of Janssen, and she's now gunning for the Swiss sculler. So what does Janssen got to offer?
Well, Janssen, like you say, she does things her own way. She's at 30 strokes a minute with those Macon blades. You can really see how she lets the boat really glide in between strokes, which is an interesting thing to see happening in these tailwind conditions, as opposed to this 35 strokes a minute from Florine, just keeping it moving, as opposed to something very different looking from the Swiss sculler.
And, you know, we were talking about the sort of degrees forward, which I guess be about 69 degrees in terms of forward that the scullers will scull. But I think Janssen gets out a bit further forward than that 69 degrees with those Macon spoons, less resistance at the front end.
Yeah, the Macon spoons, the symmetrical spoons that the Swiss sculler uses, tend to slip a little bit more through the water, so it's more of just a continuous motion, whereas the more traditional, the blades we're more used to seeing tend to lock up more solidly, and it tends to be a sort of stop and go kind of a stroke, a little bit more than just a continual motion that we're seeing from the Swiss sculler.
8 seconds off world best time pace. That was set in 2002 by the Bulgarian Nikova. No one's really come close to it since. I think this woman in a, you know, course with a really fast tailwind can do that, Florine. So Florine out in front. Janssen, well, she's managed to contain the move of Arsic, I think, over there on the far side.
You can see the bumpy water now that they're needing to contend with. When you see the waves along the side of the boat there, that's Arsic on the far side of boat one. She's handling that pretty well, but you need real looseness and flexibility. This is probably the most uncomfortable part of the lake here now in this third 500, because there's a little bit more cover at the end.
You could see it there from Madame of Yucata, as you said that, Greg. She just wobbled, hit the blade, and you've just got to be used to those kind of, you know, expect that, which you wouldn't get in your training water normally.
Well, no, I mean, you need to prepare for anything, don't you? And the conditions, they're not that hard, but in a strong, fast conditions, it's usually like this. It's usually bumpy when you get fast tailwind conditions. And unsurprisingly, Florine there at the front of the field is able to handle it. But I'm very impressed still with Janssen, that she's staying in solidly in that second position. Much lower stroke rate, as you can see, down at 31, but it's still working for her.
There we see the scullers. They have around 600 metres to go. Barring accidents, the European title will go to Caroline Florine. She's the reigning European champion from the race in Munich last year. She comes up with 500 metres to go. I feel Slovenia and the clean water banners, clean water and the Worldwide Fund for Nature, rowing is connected with, so important for our sport. Florine has a lead of some 3 or 4 boat lengths over Janssen, the Swiss sculler. And this is the Bulgarian, I think, Desislava Angelova coming into the picture, Greg. Yeah,
Angelova it is from Bulgaria, who's forced her way up into that bronze medal race. And again, Arsic did go out fast, the Serbian sculler, in the semi-final and get caught. Will she get caught for the bronze medal here? As we look there, this is Janssen with those blades handling that bumpy water. It's still working for her, still only at 31 strokes a minute, and it's still there. She's still holding on for silver.
Well, you know, the German trials which Janssen won were on Lake Brandenburg, and that is a really rough course. It was a really rough course. I remember it in 2016, which was crazy for the Euros. But Janssen handled that rough water to win the German trials. I guess this will be no worse than Brandenburg. There's Arsic in the background, Greg.
Yeah, and you can't see the Bulgarian sculler, you can just see the distance, but as it is, Arsic does look like she's forcing her way off. She's obviously learned from that semi-final. You can see it now just in the right-hand corner of the screen. That's the Bulgarian sculler, and I can't see her making a move really there for the bronze medal unless something goes wrong. We're well into the red boys now.
I think these conditions are more challenging than they were yesterday, you know, Greg.
And more challenging than they look.
Yeah, more challenging than they look from these shots. We've seen the scullers hitting the water. Caroline Florine, well, she's got some 200 metres or so left, 7 minutes already on the clock. Janssen is in second place. There's Florine from our Jones shot coming up towards the finish. There's Janssen in picture. We wait for Arsic, the Serbian, and Angelova, the Bulgarian, who will be in bronze medal position. I think Angelova, from my eye here, is sprinting through. But Caroline Florine comes up to the finish line. The Dutchwoman takes the European title. Another one to add to her palmares. Arms in the air. Janssen, fantastic scull from the young Swiss. And it is Arsic who just gets ahead of Angelova for the bronze medal. Fantastic result for the Serbian there to keep her bows in contention. Really strong performance. Adomiv Kaite from Lithuania and Dias Rivas couldn't find the pace to live with the field in the middle of the race.
So Caroline Florine, business as usual, really, for her, able to command that race from the start. But how about the Swiss sculler getting out with a good lead like that?
Amazing. So let's go to our resident expert. Would you like to have sculled in that, Imogen?
I mean, I do enjoy racing in the single scull, but I think the conditions today are really challenging. We were seeing some really fast times from some of the slightly bigger boats, but that was 7:24 there for Caroline Florine, which admittedly is pretty fast, but just outside of the European champ best time and quite far off that world best that we've seen. But I thought this race was really interesting when you compare the different styles of sculling. You know, we're talking all about Janssen, and when we compare that to Florine, you can see there's lots of different ways of making the boat go fast. You know, Florine rated a little bit higher, not having to put quite as much force down each stroke, and really just trying to ride the waves over the top of it. But Janssen really brave, leading it out there for the first half, and you can just see in this replay just how much compression that she gets. Toes right up, feet really high in the boat, compression, bum coming to her heels. Just so much length and power through each of those strokes.
So that's great analysis from Imogen Grant, European champion in the lightweight women's.
Emma Twigg made a good go of it at the World Championships, but here she is again, unbeaten European champion once again, Caroline Florine for the Netherlands.
And the parents, Ronald and Auntie, will be watching this. I don't know if they're here. I haven't seen them here, Ronald or Auntie, but they were at the Worlds last year. So if they're watching back home in the Netherlands, we hope you're enjoying this World Rowing production. So it's lovely to see those three women up there on the podium, dealt with really challenging conditions on Lake Bled.